How much of your life is truly yours? How many of your decisions, your career, your relationships, your daily choices are made because you want them, and how many are made because you think you should? The truth is, most people live for the approval of others. They shape their lives around expectations that aren't even their own. But the Stoics understood that true freedom comes from living for yourself, not for the opinions, judgments, or validation of others. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own." Think about that. You are with yourself every second of your life, yet you let the fleeting opinions of strangers dictate your choices. But what if instead you lived by your values? What if you made decisions not to please others, but to create a life that aligns with who you truly are? In this episode, we'll explore 10 powerful Stoic lessons to help you reclaim your life, break free from the need for validation, and start living for yourself. By the end, you'll see that the only approval you truly need is your own. Let's begin with the first key lesson. You are the only constant in your life. People will come and go, friendships change, relationships evolve, and even family ties shift over time. But the one person who will be with you through every high and every low, every success and every failure, every moment of joy and pain, is you. Yet, most people spend their lives adjusting themselves to fit others, trying to meet expectations that aren't their own, as if they will always be surrounded by the same people. But the Stoics knew that the foundation of a strong, independent life is realizing this: you are the only constant in your life, so you must live in a way that aligns with your own values, not the fleeting expectations of others. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This means that instead of shaping your life around the shifting opinions of those around you, define your principles and live by them. If you don't take charge of your own life, someone else will do it for you. Many people struggle with this because they are afraid of losing relationships or disappointing others. But ask yourself, how many people from your past, people you once tried so hard to please, are still in your life today? And of those who remain, how many would truly want you to betray yourself just to make them happy? The truth is, the people who genuinely care about you will respect the fact that you live by your own principles. And those who don't, they were never meant to stay. Living by your own values requires self-awareness. Most people don't even realize how much of their life is shaped by external influence. They choose careers because society tells them what success looks like. They enter relationships because they fear being alone. They silence their true desires because they've been conditioned to believe that what they want isn't practical or acceptable. But the Stoics remind us that the only real standard for a good life is the one you define for yourself. To reclaim your independence, start by clarifying what truly matters to you. What do you stand for? What kind of life do you want to create? What principles guide your decisions? If you never take the time to answer these questions, you will always be pulled in 1,000 directions by the opinions of others. Next, practice detaching from external validation. You don't need permission to be yourself. You don't need approval to live according to your own rules. Epictetus reminds us, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Not everyone will understand your path, and that's okay. The only thing that matters is that you understand it. Finally, remember that your relationship with yourself is the most important one you will ever have. If you betray yourself, if you compromise your values just to please others, you will never feel at peace. But if you stay true to yourself, if you live in alignment with your beliefs, your standards, your vision, then no matter who comes and goes, you will always have a strong foundation to stand on. People will change, circumstances will shift, but you will always be with yourself. Live in a way that honors that fact. 2. Seeking approval is a prison. How much of your life have you spent worrying about what others think? How many choices have you made, not because they were right for you, but because you feared judgment, rejection, or disapproval? Most people live like this every day, chasing validation, shaping their lives around the expectations of family, friends, society, everyone except themselves. But the Stoics understood a simple truth. When you live for approval, you are not free. Epictetus warned, "If you wish to improve, be content to appear clueless or stupid in extraneous matters. Don't wish to seem knowledgeable." In other words, if you want to grow, you must be willing to let go of the need to be seen as successful, intelligent, or admirable by others. If your self-worth is tied to external validation, you will always be at the mercy of people's opinions, opinions that change, contradict, and often have nothing to do with you. Think about this. Have you ever hesitated to pursue something you truly wanted because you feared what others might say? Maybe it was changing careers, starting a new hobby, or simply speaking your mind. Maybe you were afraid of looking foolish, of disappointing people, of not meeting expectations. But ask yourself, whose life am I living? Mine or theirs? Because the truth is, no matter how hard you try, you will never be able to please everyone. Even the greatest figures in history, leaders, philosophers, artists, had critics. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most respected emperors in history, understood this when he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He knew that if he allowed others' opinions to control him, he would never rule effectively. And if he, an emperor, could not escape judgment, neither can you. But what you can do is refuse to let it define you. So how do you escape the prison of seeking approval? First, recognize that most people are not thinking about you as much as you believe. People are wrapped up in their own worries, their own insecurities, their own lives. The fear of judgment is often worse than the reality, because in reality, most people are too focused on themselves to analyze your every move. Second, practice making decisions without consulting anyone. If every choice you make requires approval from friends, family, or social media, you are not truly independent. Try this. The next time you have to make a decision, big or small, stop yourself from seeking input. Ask yourself, what do I want? And act on that alone. Over time, this builds confidence in your own judgment. Third, understand that approval is fleeting. Today, people might praise you. Tomorrow, they might criticize you. If your happiness depends on their approval, your emotions will constantly rise and fall based on things you cannot control. But if you build your confidence on your own standards, you become unshakable. Finally, accept that some people will misunderstand you, and that's okay. Not everyone will agree with your choices. Some will question your path. Others might even ridicule it. But Seneca reminds us, the greatest wealth is a poverty of desires. Stop craving external validation. The only approval you truly need is your own. When you stop living for others' approval, something incredible happens. You start living for yourself. Your choices become yours. Your happiness becomes yours. And That is true freedom. 3. Time is your most precious asset. If someone stole money from you, you would be furious. You would demand it back, take action, and ensure it doesn't happen again. But when people steal your time through distractions, obligations you don't care about, or endless worrying, you let it slip away without resistance. Yet, time is the one thing you can never earn back. Seneca warned, people are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they're most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy. Every moment spent obsessing over what others think, chasing validation, or living by someone else's standards is a moment stolen from your life. Most people realize this too late, when they look back and see how much of their existence was dictated by expectations that weren't even their own. But the Stoics remind us that we can reclaim our time, starting now. Think about how you spend your days. How much of your time is invested in things that truly matter to you? And how much is wasted on things that won't matter a year from now? Pointless debates, social media scrolling, worrying about things beyond your control. Marcus Aurelius urged, "You could be good today, but instead you choose tomorrow." Time is not something you have unlimited access to. One day you will wish you had used it differently. The first step to reclaiming your time is eliminating unnecessary obligations. Many people say yes to things that do not serve them, meetings, favors, social events, simply because they feel obligated. But ask yourself, does this contribute to the life I want? Does this align with my values? If the answer is no, don't waste your time on it. Second, stop wasting time on things you cannot control. Most people drain their energy worrying about other people's opinions, the past or the future, none of which they can change. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the ability to live as we wish." If you are constantly reacting to things outside your control, you are not truly living, you are just existing. Redirect your focus to what you can change. Another crucial step is prioritizing deep work and meaningful pursuits. The Stoics believed that every moment should be spent on things that improve you, learning, growing, mastering a skill, building something meaningful. Instead of filling your time with distractions, use it to create the life you want. And finally, be ruthless with your time, because no one else will be. People will always ask for more of your attention, more of your energy, more of your effort. But time spent trying to please everyone else is time stolen from your own purpose. Seneca reminds us, life is long if you know how to use it. Make sure that when you look back, you see a life spent on your terms, not wasted on things that never truly mattered. Your time is the most valuable thing you own. Protect it, use it wisely, and never, ever let it be taken from you without purpose. 4. Opinions are cheap, but your peace is priceless. No matter what you do in life, people will always have something to say. Some will praise you, others will criticize you. Some will misunderstand you, others will judge you without knowing anything about you. And if you spend your life trying to respond to, manage, or please every opinion that comes your way, you will never know peace. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." Most of what people say is just noise, so why let it disturb your inner calm? Think about it. How often have you hesitated to make a decision, not because it was wrong, but because you feared what others would think? How many times have you allowed someone's words to ruin your day, even though their opinion had no real impact on your life? If you let outside voices dictate your emotions, you are handing them power they do not deserve. The first step to freeing yourself from the weight of opinions is realizing that most people speak from their own fears and limitations. When someone doubts you, it's often because they wouldn't have the courage to do what you're doing. When someone criticizes you, it's often because they are projecting their own insecurities. Their words are about them, not you. Epictetus taught, "If someone speaks ill of you, do not defend yourself against their accusations, but instead reply, 'You obviously do not know me well, or else you would see things differently.' You do not need to fight every battle." Next, decide whose opinions actually matter. The reality is, not all opinions are equal. The words of a stranger on the internet should not hold the same weight as advice from someone who truly knows and respects you. Yet many people spend more time worrying about the judgments of distant acquaintances than the wisdom of those who actually care. Before you let an opinion affect you, ask, is this coming from someone I respect? Is this criticism valuable or just noise? Most of the time, the answer will make it easy to dismiss. Another crucial step is practicing indifference to praise and criticism alike. It is not enough to ignore negativity. You must also avoid becoming dependent on praise. If you live for approval, you will fear losing it. But Seneca reminds us, "He who seeks approval has already condemned himself." The goal is not to be loved by all. It is to be at peace with yourself, regardless of what others say. Finally, protect your inner peace as if your life depends on it, because it does. Every moment spent overthinking someone's opinion is a moment stolen from your happiness, your productivity, your growth. Let people think what they will. Let them talk. Their words do not build your future. You do. At the end of the day, it's your life, not theirs. And your peace. That is something only you can protect. 5. No one can walk your path for you. Advice is everywhere. People love to tell you what to do, what career to pursue, who to marry, how to live. But here's the truth. They won't face the consequences of your choices. You will, and if you allow others to dictate your path, you will eventually find yourself living a life that doesn't feel like your own. The Stoics understood that while guidance can be valuable, responsibility ultimately lies with you. Epictetus put it simply, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom is not just about external circumstances. It is about owning your decisions, your successes, and your failures. Many people blame their situation on others. I took this job because my parents expected me to. I stayed in this relationship because I didn't want to disappoint anyone. But the moment you shift blame, you also shift power. You are no longer in control. Someone else is. Think about it. If you let others make your decisions, who will suffer the consequences? Not them. If you take advice that goes against your intuition and it leads to failure, those who advised you won't bear the burden. You will. This is why Marcus Aurelius warned, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others. Instead, be concerned with how you can make yourself better." Your life is your responsibility. No one else can walk your path for you. The first step toward taking full ownership of your life is learning to trust yourself. Most people seek endless validation before making decisions. They ask for opinions, hesitate, and delay action because they fear making the wrong choice. But Seneca reminds us, a ship should not ride on a single anchor, nor life on a single hope. If you rely too much on others to guide you, you will always feel lost. Make decisions based on your values, your experiences, and your instincts. Next, Accept that mistakes are part of the journey. Many people let the fear of failure stop them from acting, but the Stoics saw failure as a teacher. Epictetus advised, "Difficulties show men what they are." Therefore, when trouble comes, remember that you are being tested. Every misstep is a lesson, but those lessons only belong to you if you take full responsibility for them. Another crucial practice is questioning the advice you receive. Not all advice is valuable. Some people project their own fears onto you, discouraging risks because they are afraid. Others offer guidance based on their experiences, not yours. Before following someone's advice, ask, does this align with my values? Is this coming from someone I truly respect? Will I be proud of this decision in the future? If the answer is no, move forward on your terms. And finally, own every choice you make, good or bad. There is power in knowing that your life is in your hands. No excuses, no blaming, no waiting for someone else to lead you. The Stoics didn't believe in hoping for a better future. They believed in creating one through disciplined action. At the end of your life, you won't be able to point at others and say, "I lived this way because they told me to." Your regrets or your pride will be yours alone. So choose your path wisely. Walk it with confidence, because no one else can do it for you. 6. Happiness comes from within, not from recognition. Most people believe happiness is something to be earned, something that comes from achievement, status, or external validation. They chase praise, awards, and recognition, thinking that once they prove their worth to the world, they will finally feel fulfilled. But the Stoics knew this was an illusion. Happiness is not found in the approval of others, it is built from within. Seneca warned, "He who depends on the approval of others has made himself a slave." If your happiness is tied to recognition, you are not free. You are constantly at the mercy of what others think, rising when they praise you, falling when they criticize you. This is why so many people, even those who appear successful on the outside, feel empty on the inside. They have spent their lives chasing validation instead of building true inner contentment. Think about this. Have you ever worked hard for something, achieved it, received praise, and yet, after the excitement faded, you still felt unsatisfied? That's because external success can never fill an internal void. If you believe that happiness lies in being recognized, you will always be chasing it, but never keeping it. Marcus Aurelius understood this well, writing, "Do not waste what remains of your life in worrying about others, unless it is for some mutual good." Your happiness is not dependent on applause. It is dependent on your mindset, your actions, and the way you choose to live. So how do you build happiness from within instead of seeking it in recognition? The first step is detaching from external rewards. This doesn't mean you shouldn't strive for success, but you should strive for it because it aligns with your values, not because you want approval. Ask yourself, if no one were watching, if no one praised me, would I still do this? If the answer is no, then your motivation is external, not internal. True fulfillment comes from doing things that matter to you, regardless of whether others notice. Next, focus on self-respect, not validation. Epictetus said, "How long will you wait before you demand the best for yourself?" Instead of waiting for others to acknowledge your worth, acknowledge it yourself. Instead of craving recognition, build a life that you respect, where your actions align with your principles. Praise will come and go, but self-respect stays with you always. Another crucial practice is finding meaning in the process, not just the result. Many people believe happiness will come after they achieve something. Once I get that promotion, then I'll be happy. Once I have more money, then I'll feel secure. But Stoicism teaches us that happiness is not in the future. It is in how you approach life right now. The simple act of improving, of learning, of striving for excellence should be fulfilling in itself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The fruit of this life is a good character and acts for the common good." In other words, live well, not for applause, but because it is the right thing to do. And finally, stop letting others define your worth. If someone praises you, it doesn't make you better. If someone criticizes you, it doesn't make you worse. Your value does not fluctuate based on opinions. The moment you realize this, you become untouchable. Happiness built on recognition is fragile. It disappears the moment applause fades. But happiness built on self-mastery, purpose, and inner peace, that is unshakable. And that is what the Stoics lived by. 7. You can't please everyone, and you shouldn't try. No matter what you do, no matter how kind, intelligent, or successful you become, someone will always disapprove. Someone will always criticize. Someone will always think you should be doing something differently. If you live your life trying to satisfy everyone, you will lose yourself in the process. The Stoics understood that seeking universal approval is a losing game. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "People will think and say what they like. It's not up to you to control that. It's up to you to remain true to yourself. You could spend your entire life shaping your actions to meet others' expectations, but in the end, you'll realize that their opinions were never stable. They shifted, contradicted, and evolved. The only thing constant was you. Have you ever held back from making a decision because you worried what others might think? Maybe you wanted to take a risk, start something new, or walk away from something that no longer served you. But instead of acting, you hesitated, afraid of judgment. The irony is, even if you did what others expected, there would still be someone who disagreed, who criticized, who found fault. Seneca put it bluntly, "You will never please everyone. Stop trying." The truth is, when you try to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one, least of all yourself. You dilute your own voice, sacrifice your own desires, and live in constant anxiety over how you are perceived. But the Stoics teach us that the only approval that truly matters is your own. So how do you stop seeking approval and start living on your own terms? First, accept that disapproval is inevitable. Even history's greatest minds, Socrates, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, had critics. If even the wisest men were questioned and ridiculed, what makes you think you'll be exempt? Expect criticism, and instead of fearing it, embrace it as proof that you are living your life, not someone else's. Next, develop a strong internal compass. If you don't define your own values, society will do it for you. Ask yourself, what do I truly stand for? What kind of life do I want to create? When you have clear principles, external opinions become less relevant. You act based on your philosophy, not fleeting expectations. Another crucial step is learning to disappoint people when necessary. Some will be upset when you set boundaries. Others won't understand your decisions. That's okay. Their disappointment is their responsibility, not yours. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, you must be willing to be misunderstood. Let them misunderstand. Let them talk. You have a life to live." Finally, focus on what you can control. You cannot force people to see your perspective, nor can you make them approve of your choices. What you can control is how you respond. Will you live for their validation, or will you live for yourself? The Stoics would tell you there is only one correct answer. You cannot please everyone. But the good news is, you don't have to. The people who truly respect you will accept you for who you are, and the rest. They were never meant to be part of your journey anyway. 8. Living for others is a form of self-betrayal. How many times have you ignored what you truly wanted because you were afraid of disappointing someone? How often have you silenced your voice, compromised your values, or followed a path that wasn't yours, just to keep others happy? Most people don't realize they are betraying themselves until it's too late. They wake up years later, trapped in a life they never truly wanted, all because they spent it trying to be who others expected them to be. The Stoics believed that your first duty is to yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "To live a good life, we have the potential for it, if we learn to be indifferent to what makes no difference." And what makes no difference? The expectations of others. Living for others, when it comes at the cost of your own happiness, is one of the greatest forms of self-betrayal. Think about the times you ignored your instincts because you feared judgment. Maybe you stayed in a career you hated because it was safe. Maybe you stayed in a relationship that drained you because others told you it was what you should do. Maybe you said yes to things you despised just to avoid conflict. But in doing so, who suffered? You did. And here's the hard truth. The people you sacrificed for, they will move on. They will continue their lives. And you will be the one left with regret. To break free from this cycle, the first step is realizing that no one else will live with the consequences of your choices. Only you will. Seneca said, "He who does not dare to be different will never be free." You are the one who has to wake up in your own life every day. You are the one who will feel the weight of self-betrayal. If something doesn't align with your soul, it's not worth doing, no matter who expects it from you. Next, practice saying no without guilt. Many people feel obligated to meet others' expectations because they fear rejection. But true strength lies in setting boundaries. If saying yes to someone else means saying no to yourself, reconsider your decision. Epictetus taught, "No one is free who is not master of himself." Saying no is not selfish. It is an act of self-respect. Another key is letting go of the illusion that you can please everyone. No matter what you do, someone will disapprove. Someone will always think you should have done things differently. But their opinions are theirs to carry, not yours. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Instead of trying to be what others want, focus on being who you were meant to be. Finally, ask yourself, if I keep living like this, will I regret it? One of the greatest pains in life is looking back and realizing you never truly lived, that you existed for others but never for yourself, that you followed a script written by society instead of writing your own. But the good news? You still have time to change that. Living for others is a trap. Living for yourself is freedom. The choice is yours. 9. Your energy is limited. Use it wisely. Your energy is one of the most valuable resources you have, yet most people waste it without even realizing it. They spend hours worrying about things they can't control, engage in pointless arguments, and try to prove themselves to people who don't even matter. But the Stoics understood a crucial truth. Where you direct your energy determines the quality of your life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Most of what drains you isn't the situation itself. It's the way you allow it to consume your mental and emotional energy. If you learn to protect your focus, your peace, and your time, you gain something invaluable: clarity and strength. Think about how often you've exhausted yourself over things that didn't deserve your energy. Maybe you spent hours replaying a conversation, stressing over someone's opinion, or trying to fix a problem that wasn't even yours to solve. Meanwhile, the things that truly mattered, your goals, your growth, your peace, were neglected. If you keep giving your energy to things that don't serve you, you will always feel drained and unfulfilled. So how do you protect your energy and use it wisely? First, stop engaging in unnecessary battles. Not every opinion needs to be challenged. Not every insult needs a response. Not every argument is worth your time. The Stoics believed in choosing their battles carefully. Epictetus said, "Trying to control what is outside your control is a recipe for suffering." Instead of reacting to everything, ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Will this matter in a week, in a year? If not, let it go. Next, set boundaries with people who drain you. Some people thrive on negativity, constantly complaining, gossiping, or pulling you into their problems. But Seneca warned, associate with those who will make a better man of you. Surround yourself with people who inspire you, challenge you to grow, and respect your time and energy. And for those who don't, limit your exposure. Another essential practice is directing your energy toward what you can control. So many people waste energy obsessing over things they have no power over, whether it's the economy, the opinions of others, or the past. But Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Instead of draining yourself with worry, shift your focus to actions you can take. Invest your energy in what moves you forward, not in what keeps you stuck. And finally, prioritize your well-being. If you constantly give your energy away without replenishing it, you will burn out. Make time for stillness, reflection, and personal growth. Protect your mental space as fiercely as you would protect your physical space. A disciplined mind leads to a disciplined life. Your energy is not unlimited. Every day, you make choices about where it goes. Spend it wisely, on things that build you up, that move you forward, that bring you peace. Let the rest fade into the background where it belongs. 10. One day, you'll wish you had lived differently. Imagine yourself at the end of your life looking back. What do you see? A life lived fully by your own rules, with no regrets? Or a life spent chasing validation, fearing judgment, and following a path that was never truly yours? The hardest truth to accept is this: one day you will run out of time. And when that moment comes, the only thing that will matter is whether you had the courage to live for yourself. The Stoics constantly reminded themselves of memento mori, the idea that life is fleeting and death is inevitable. Seneca warned, "You act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire." People waste years hesitating, delaying, making decisions based on fear, yet they act as if they have all the time in the world. But time is the one thing you can never get back. Think about the choices you are making today. Are they leading you toward a life you'll be proud of? Or are you making them based on what others expect of you? Many people wait until it's too late to ask these questions. They spend decades working jobs they hate, staying in relationships that drain them, and silencing their true desires, only to reach old age filled with regret. But Marcus Aurelius gives us a different way to live. You could be good today, but instead you choose tomorrow. Why wait? Why keep postponing the life you really want? The first step to living without regret is letting go of fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of stepping outside of what's familiar. But ask yourself, what is scarier, trying and failing, or never trying at all and living with the regret of never knowing? The Stoics would say that the real failure is never having lived authentically in the first place. Next, prioritize what actually matters. If you knew you only had 1 year left to live, what would you focus on? Would you care about impressing people? Would you waste time on meaningless distractions? Or would you invest every second into the things that bring you purpose, joy, and fulfillment? The Stoics teach us that the right time to start living fully is now. Epictetus said, "How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself?" Stop waiting for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is today. Another essential practice is letting go of the illusion that you have unlimited time. People put off their dreams, their passions, their personal growth because they assume they will get to it someday. But someday is not guaranteed. The only time you are promised is this moment. If there is something you want to change, change it now. If there is something you need to say it now. If there is a life you want to live, start living it now. And finally, be true to yourself. In the end, it won't matter how many people approved of you, how many followers you had, or how well you fit into society's expectations. What will matter is whether you honored your own values, followed your own path, and lived a life that felt real to you. Seneca reminds us, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." The goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to be authentic. One day, you will look back on your life. Make sure that when you do, you feel pride, not regret. Because at the end of it all, the only thing that truly matters is whether you lived, fully, fearlessly, and for yourself. Living for yourself is not selfish. It is necessary. The Stoics understood that a life controlled by others' opinions, expectations, and judgments is not a life at all. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus all taught that true fulfillment comes from within, from aligning your actions with your values, your purpose, and your principles. You are the only constant in your life. Seeking approval is a prison. Time is your most precious asset. Opinions are cheap, but your peace is priceless. No one can walk your path for you. Happiness does not come from recognition, and you can never please everyone. Living for others is a form of self-betrayal. Your energy is limited. Use it wisely. And one day, when you look back, you'll either be grateful that you lived on your own terms, or you'll wish you had. The choice is yours. If this episode resonated with you, leave a comment below. Which of these lessons do you need to apply most in your life? And if you are ready to start living for yourself, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Every step you take towards self-mastery brings you closer to the life you were meant to live. Until next time, be bold, be true, and live fully.